I'm Sharon Middleman, and tell me your names.
My name is Jacob D. Levine, Levine.
Okay, and you are?
Jean Levine.
Um, Tell us a little bit about your earliest memories of the Jewish community. Well, maybe first I should ask you, do you mind telling us both how old you are?
Yes, we don't
You
mind.
wouldn't mind, okay.
No. She was born 11/28/08. I was born 12/22/08.
We're both going to be 87 years old this year.
Young.
Young.
87 years young.
Yes,
Okay.
how's that?
And we're married 60 and a half years.
And you've been in Wilmington for how
Born
long?
and raised
60 and a half years.
Both of you were born and raised?
No, I'm a New York East Side boy.
Well, where did you meet?
We met in New York when I worked for RKO. I don't think you remember RKO.
Yeah, I know
Well, you
RKO.
do. And I was an assistant manager of the theater, and she came in as a cashier. She came from Wilmington, and RKO used to plan a picnic for their employees every year for half and half to go to Bear Mountain, New York.
What were you doing in New York?
I was born and raised here. We were 35 Jewish families, and there wasn't enough Jewish boys for me. So I went to visit my aunt. My sister and I went to visit my aunt. Well, my sister, who's 4 years younger than I, met my cousin's boyfriend on July 1st and married him on July 5th, and they're married 61 years.
Wait, she met him how long and got
4 days.
4 days. Huh?
Then I decided if my sister could do that, I could do the same thing. So I went to New York
So you went to New York to find a Jewish boy?
to get a job.
Oh. Which one is it?
Well, both. So I entered the paper, and there was an ad in the RKO theater for a cashier. When I got there, the offices go right into the places where you're interviewed, and you have to be recommended by someone. So I said, yes, I was recommended by Mr. Weinstein. He says, well, that's fine. We have 3 Weinstein managers here. Then they asked me where I came from, and I said, Wilmington, Delaware. And the man says, oh, that's where they grow bananas, isn't it? And I said, yes, of course. And he said, do you know how to cashier? And I says, I've cashiered all my life. But I knew they'd never go down to Delaware to look. So he says to me, we have an opening for 1 day at the 140th Street,
186th Street.
86th Street. And I went there and I knocked on the door of the cashier, and I said, you know something? I was offered a job here, but I've never done this. She said, well, then open the door and come on in and I'll show you. So I worked that day and I liked it. And the next day they called me and told me that she was getting married and was going to leave, but I liked the job. So the RKO has a picnic for one time half of the employees, and the next time the other half of the employees. So the time that I went to the employees, my manager was a friend of his manager, and they introduced us, and we were married 3 months later.
Wow, and it's lasted how many years now?
60 and a half years.
Yeah, and how many kids and grandkids?
We have 1 son, 5 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
My oldest great-granddaughter is 13. And my son is married 44 years.
When did you come back to Wilmington?
19th. The year we got married.
The year we got married.
We spent our honeymoon for a year in Florida.
He wouldn't
We
go
came
back
back
to
here
New
to
York.
35, and I want to get rid of New York.
You wanted to leave New York?
Yeah,
He
definitely.
he
I got
loved it
tired
here.
riding in the subways.
Ah.
I
Don't have
worked
to worry
in
about that in Wilmington.
I worked in New York. I worked for RKO at the time, and
And he loved Wilmington.
I loved it, and I established myself here.
Who did you work for when you came to Wilmington?
Should I go back to how I started? I worked for 35 cents an hour.
Where?
Right here in Wilmington, chopping bricks and pushing a wheelbarrow.
Who did you work for?
Some contractor,
Contractor.
some
I
building
forget his
contractor.
name.
I know his name. I don't want to mention it. And from there on in, I got a job with Knee-High Soda on the truck, and I was calling on some trade, and a woman on 10th and Bennett, that's the east side, and she looked at me and she said, you look like a nice Jewish boy. How would you like to own the grocery store? I says, I don't have any money. We just started out. She said, you don't need no money. I'll sell you the grocery store for $700. This was in 35, 36, around 36.
And she said, just pay me $25 a month and the storage.
And I bought a grocery store for $700.
So $25 a month. Let's see, how many months would that take to
It's
save up
plenty.
$700?
It's $300 a year. Pay 2.5 years.
Not bad.
That's very good. At that time,
God was
I didn't
very
have
good to us.
I didn't have 700 pennies.
Where was the grocery store?
10th
10th and
Bennett.
Bennett. I don't think you're not familiar with that neighborhood, are you? With the East Side.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I
I'm
was
familiar
young.
with the whole city.
I was the
You,
only,
you know where 10th and Bennett is?
Was that a Jewish neighborhood at
No,
the time?
it was Polish. Polish. Amalgamated Leather was about 3 or 4 streets from us, and the Polish population was pretty heavy in that area.
Were there Jewish neighborhoods in the Wilmington
Yes.
area?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we'll
West
ta-
2nd Street. My
From
father-
2nd and Shipley until 2nd and Franklin was the Jewish community, what we call Jewish community.
Groceries and butchers and everything.
So did you live in a Jewish community, or did you live
we
near the
lived,
store?
yeah, we lived in the Jewish community. We lived at 3rd and Franklin,
What
3rd and
Jewish, what
Jefferson.
Jewish people there were?
4th and Washington we lived.
Yeah.
Not very many.
I was the only Jewish girl in my class.
Was that difficult?
And there was 35 Jewish families when I was born. And my father was one of the first founders of the first synagogue, the Chesed Shalemis.
As you see Adas Kodesh today, it says Adas Kodesh Shalemet, and that's
And
they
we
combined.
had 5 or 6 Jewish butchers, delicatessens, everything. And now we don't have a Jewish place in this town to buy anything.
Except
unless we-
Zeta's.
Unless we buy Empire chickens.
So there were more Jewish amenities and stores and
That's
kosher butchers
right.
when there were 35 families, and
And
there were.
as they built up,
And,
yeah.
and they gave birth, don't
We had
forget.
a Jewish slaughterhouse here in this town. By
But look how many synagogues we have now.
Yeah, we have 4 big ones. 5.
This is my synagogue.
Yeah, well, this is one too. This is 5. Was there a strong Jewish community?
Yes.
Yes, very much.
We used to live on,
It's-
wait a minute.
we
used to
supported
live-
5. Well,
When I was a child, we used to live on 3rd Street. And on Lincoln Street, there was 4 or 5 Jewish families, Mrs. Lincoln and her family. And when it came to the holidays, they would start walking down the hill, and from each house, all the Jewish people came out, and we all went to synagogue together. And now we don't even have a kosher butcher in town.
So everybody in the Jewish community was very close to each other.
Oh,
yes,
yes,
very much so.
very much so.
On Saturday night, when the Jewish kosher butchers opened up, we had a chicken house there that they slaughtered the chickens. See, if you know what I mean, the shechet. And you couldn't walk on the street Saturday night. At one time, the communities below Wilmington, like St. George, Odessa, Middletown, all those, Dover, all of Cheswold, they had, the Jews that lived there
Used to
had
come
no
here
place,
to shop.
used to come and shop. So
I didn't know
Saturday,
there were Jews that far south.
well, yes,
yeah.
well, I worked in Seaford. It was 5 Jewish families, and the shoemaker was the
Well, I
chauffeur.
tell you, we had to be close because we were taught by our families that you're Jewish and you go with Jewish people.
I come from
So
a,
we were all Jewish friends. We all socialized with each other. We all had a good time. We were
I'm
happy.
proud. I've never heard the word hate in my family.
But what about the rest of the community? Were you accepted?
We
by
were
the
accepted,
non-Jewish
yeah,
community?
Yes,
we were
yes,
accepted.
yes.
I was accepted by.
So was I.
When I
No
opened it-
anti-Semitism?
So we'll get
All
to
the
that in a few
time.
minutes.
All the time.
There was always anti-Semitism. As a matter of fact, this building, well, I don't want to run before the story. Anti-Semitism will never be extinct, no matter what, when, and
They
how.
wouldn't even allow us in Brandywine Hills.
I was president of the B'nai B'rith Lodge 470. That's right here in this building. This is how we have this building, through the lodge. I'm the last living one of the 5
Of the
that
families
started
of this lady.
this building to work.
9 years it took.
And it took us, 1971 we started. And then Nixon was president at the time. We had allocated, and we found a piece of ground at where Brandywine Hills is now. And I went to the Civic Association. There was a piece of ground that we made a deposit on, but we needed an easement to come through. And we had to go to the Civic Association and ask for them to allow us to get an easement so the senior housing 208 and 235 would okay it. And I was President Lodge at the time, and the engineer and I went to a meeting there, and one of the gentlemen got up, and he was police chief at the time. He says, "We don't want an old age home in our area, and we don't want. It wouldn't give us permission for easement." And now you're talking about anti-Semitism. I just answered it, and I'm a great ADL member, and this is what we ran through. Finally, we achieved. Her and I, we achieved. The five of us went to Harrisburg to a neighborhood lodge meeting, and they suggested for this type of building at that time, Section 208. I don't know if you know anything about that. 208 and 235. And we come back here, and we had an architect. We had to find a location. So we found the location where the old Penn Fruit was, and Sears and Roebuck, down on 40th Street. That was that we found a location in Brandywine Hills, and we couldn't get in.
About there.
So
Were there a lot of other Jewish families own businesses?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like what? Like
Leibowitz Brothers had a department store.
J.M. Rogers and Woman Dry Goods. You've heard of the dry goods.
Buster Brown Shoe Store was owned by the Cohens.
Right here. Manuel Cohen.
That's
Corbin.
Yeah.
Corbin, you've heard the name,
Yes.
Judge Corbin?
What was the name of your store, your grocery store?
Right.
Jackson
Jackson G's store.
And you had that your whole career?
No,
Well, no, I had this one on the east side at 10th and Bennett. And I had a young man from Chester come along. He says he'd like to buy my store, and I sold him the store.
And then what did you do?
We bought a
Wait a minute,
bar.
I bought, huh?
Bought a bar.
You bought a bar?
No, later on, later on.
And we
In
went
later
to the
years, in later years, I went into another grocery store at 20th and Market. My brother-in-law and I had the first little self-service store in 1946.
But my sister never liked Wilmington.
She never liked Wilmington.
So
we
they
had
went
to
back
give
to
her
New York.
So and then I went back into the smaller store at 8th and Wilson. You know where 8th and Wilson? It ain't there no
I'm not
more.
familiar with.
It's not there no
Okay,
more.
the street's
That
not-
was the Poplar Street project.
And then we bought a liquor store.
Then we bought a liquor store at 2nd and Jefferson. Liquor store and a bar. Black bar, all black.
We went through the
And they
riots.
we lived through the riots in 1968.
And the
We
police
slept
made us sleep under our
under-
chairs on the floor
on the
for
floor,
3
under the
days,
tables.
and then they took us home on the patrol wagon because there was snipers shooting from the
You
roofs.
couldn't go home for 3 days?
That's right. And I had very good protection there.
Yes, they were.
They loved us so much on that 2nd and Jefferson that we had a patrol walking around with shotguns, and these black gentlemen said to Eddie,
Don't say that.
with the big word, the N word, would dare to touch this place, will blow their
We
heads
were the
off.
only store that didn't have a broken window.
Because the people in the neighborhood liked you and they
That's
protected
right.
you.
We were very good to it. We were very good. When
But
I
the
was in the grocery
police,
business, I fed plenty of families.
But there were so many snipers shooting that the police were afraid to
couldn't
let
go
us
out.
out.
The
So
only-
they told us to stay there, and they brought us sandwiches, and we stayed there. And then they brought a patrol wagon and took us home.
After 3 days?
After 3 days, when it quieted down.
Didn't hurt.
Then we
April
had
4th,
the national.
April 4th, 5th, 6th, April 5th, 6th, 7th?
Something like that. I don't know.
April of 1968.
Yeah,
Well, it didn't harm me. Do I look any the worse for it?
No, you look fine.
we,
Were you scared?
well,
I wasn't. He was.
You weren't scared.
I'm not afraid of anything. I'm afraid of nothing.
well, it's not being scared.
Where was your son while you were staying in the store for 3 days?
He helped us.
No, he wasn't there at that time.
Not that
He was
time.
working,
He
and
was
then
work-
he came
he
and
was
helped us
working
out.
for
How old was
somebody.
he?
Georgie, well,
Back-
1960,
Well, he had just
68,
come back, just
69.
came back from Korea.
He did 3 years in Korea. So all I can tell you, he didn't want to go back. And if you want to listen to our proud grandchildren, I'll give you a good background on them.
They're all wonderful.
So you came to Wilmington in what year?
She was born here.
But you
We
came-
got married
you
in
came married and got
34,
back. So
1934.
I'm supposed to ask you a question about prohibition, but that's after that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
34 after prohibition?
That's right.
Yeah, 32, the end of Prohibition, FDR.
So did that affect you in any way?
No.
No. I'm afraid of nobody. That's a God's truth. I shouldn't feel like that.
Me neither.
You know what?
We
wait
watch
a
you
minute.
every night, but
I
you don't
was
know
born-
that.
I was born here, and of course, there's a lot of. My mother had us all 8 and 10 and 15 years apart.
Uh-huh.
And my father had 2 boys, and the boys were God, the girls were nothing to him. So when I was 13, and my sister was 4 years younger, I decided I wanted to drive. And we had an old Ford. So my parents were invited to a wedding, and Ann and I weren't. So I says to Ann, I know where Mama leaves the key to the car. Let's go ride. And she says, Jean, you're going to be punished. I says, come on. I got in the car and started with the gears. I went as far as Marcus Hook, and I didn't know how to turn around. It was during the war then. There was some sailors on the corner. So I asked the sailor to turn the car around for me, and I came home. At that time, you didn't have to take a test to get a license. You
What year
just
was
had-
this?
Where's my license? And what year was it? I'm
I-
87 now, and I was 13 then. What year was that? So we went. You didn't have to take a test, see? So I went into Magistrate Black at 8th and
21.
Tatnall.
1921.
Yeah, to 8th
well,
and
sure.
Tatnall. I went into him, and I had a hat on up to here and a long dress. And I says, I'd like to have a license. And he says to me, well, you don't look old enough. I says, well, I'm 18, and I'm married and have a child. So he said, if you're old enough, here's your license. And I've been driving since I'm 13. I've never taken a test.
You were 13, you told him you were 18?
She was a big girl.
And you
Yeah.
weren't married and you didn't have a child?
At 13? No, I lied.
I bet.
I didn't have to take a test.
What else
I've
you
never
gotta
taken
ask
a
us?
test.
Do you remember who some of the prominent Jewish leaders and Jewish
Yes.
professionals
Yes,
were?
the
in
Kyles,
The
the
Topkases,
Topkases,
Louis Topkas, they're gone. They're all gone now.
Banks, Butcher, Isaacson Banks, that's his parents. They were all wonderful Jews. The Leibowitzes,
J.M. Lazarus was very
J.M.
philanthropic.
Lazarus. We had no problems with the Jews.
The only time I think J.M. Lazarus ever got turned down is when he heard that they were going to build a Jewish country.
He didn't approve
He
of
didn't
that.
approve of it.
Oh,
But
really?
you know, he was never opened on a Rosh Hashanah. He was never opened on a Yom Kippur.
All of-
All Jewish holidays, he was closed. And he was wonderful to his help.
She worked for him.
Why,
What else you want? What an interview you're getting.
I don't know, it'll be edited.
no, I don't think so. I don't think any of this is going to be edited. What were the Jewish neighborhoods? Were there pockets or was it
Yes,
throughout all
West
Detroit?
2nd Street.
From what to what?
Right from 2nd and Shipley to 2nd and Franklin
They were
was
all
pretty heavily
Jewish
Jewish
stores,
population.
Jewish
Jewish stores.
was no
There was
bad
a
Jews.
Jewish
We were all
grocery
good
store.
kids.
There
We
was a
were.
Jewish grocery store on every corner.
Do you know we could
One,
walk-
one across from
We
the
could
other.
walk 2 o'clock in the morning and nobody bothered us. You could leave your doors open and nobody went in.
they-
But that was anywhere in the city.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
no,
Yeah?
no.
No.
When they had August Quarterly. I don't
No,
know
we're
if you
not
ever
talking
heard.
about when I was a child.
Oh.
I don't- When I was a child.
We
I
had a
never went
grocery
into-
store at 8th and Wilson. We left the door open and we never lost a loaf of bread. So we,
Not like that anymore, huh?
no, gosh, no.
Now, let's see, you were here during the Depression, right? You were already.
Yes.
Yeah,
in
well,
Wilmington.
yeah, that's when I make 35 cents an hour.
That was in 1930.
It's 35,
34,
35, 36.
But,
So how was that time? Was that very difficult to get through?
well,
Well,
let me
we
tell you
had a,
something.
well,
Let me tell you something.
tell her
You-
about Herrenberger.
Oh, we used to, we used to buy hamburger, and make hamburgers for our son, and we ate hotcakes. We grew. I never complained. I never asked for help.
And Herren,
And he got sick, and
she wanted
he
to
had
know about
two-
Edison.
Oh no! Wait a minute. And he had 2 goiter operations, and he was coming home, so I went into the Maytag people, and I said, I work and I make $12 a week, and my husband's coming up from the hospital, and I need a Frigidaire, and I don't have the down payment. So the man says to me, you look honest. He says, I'll put a meter on the Frigidaire, and you put $0.25 a day in, and if there's $1 there, it can be $1 a month, and I paid him off. Then he came back, and he says, how about a washing machine? They were just coming out, you know. He sent me
A
a
Maytag?
Yeah,
And
made
he's-
right on 4th
yeah,
Street.
and 4th and Tackle.
Before the Orange and
I've been
Shipley.
very lucky in life. I really
How
have.
so?
Huh?
How so?
I'm living
We're
to
here.
be this age. I can walk
We're here.
around. I'm not in a
And we're
home
very
or an
active.
institution. We're very active. We're active from day to night. Since we're living here for the past 12 years, on a Thursday morning,
15 years.
he picks up the medicines for everybody in the building.
You do?
Yes, he
Yeah.
takes people to doctors. He takes them for appointments.
You both still drive?
Yeah. I
go to,
I drive the
you,
car and
you
I'm
heard of
crazy.
New Moore's Clinic? You've heard of New Moore's Clinic, see? Well, you should, well, what's this?
Well, he takes everybody places they want to go. And believe me, I envy no one. I feel if they have it, they deserve it.
Michael is he's a
my
great
great
nephew.
nephew. His grandfather was my brother.
How about that?
I envy nobody.
And the Ploener family was well known.
And I'm
and-
jealous of no one.
Did you read this?
I did. I read your lifetime achievement
Oh, it's wonderful.
award
When you're
brunch
through
Oh, you
here,
should see the-
1992.
You should see the award I have up there. This lodge just celebrated its 97th birthday, and March the
and we
original
had the
charter.
furniture people. What was the name of the furniture people on King Street that were so prominent here? Man.
Pete Feinberg.
Well, you know what? I think I'm supposed to try to stick to some of the questions.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're supposed to be talking about the Depression now, and
Well,
how it
is it-
affected the
would-
Jewish
I-
community. Did a lot of people lose their businesses?
No.
No. This was
Nobody
one
did.
state that had no bankruptcies, no banks
bank
closing or
failures at any
nothing.
time because the DuPonts made the banks good, and we had no bank failures. And Jewish people lived in
DuPont
their
brothers
means.
fought.
They never tried to climb to make everything do that they had.
We had a little, what they call like a minas chesed, a good community where that you can go borrow $50 or $100 and pay out $1 a week.
From another Jew or from anybody?
No, they had it at the old YMHA. They called it, well, you would know it, it's a Hebrew way. Minas chesed is a good deed.
Did the Jewish-owned businesses change any as a result of the
Yeah.
Depression?
No, the Depression was good here. Wasn't bad.
wasn't
Allied
bad.
Kid, well, don't forget this was a big leather town. Allied
Never had
Kid,
taxes in
Amalgamated
this
Leather.
town either.
Never had no
I
sales
know they
taxes.
don't now. Never did, huh?
Never did.
Never.
What else
We
you
all
want to know?
managed.
We're still here.
You're still here. And then after that, it was the years leading up to the war. How did that affect your lives?
Well,
well, my son went
which
to
war are you
Korea.
talking about?
I'm talking about World War II.
Okay.
Yeah, my son went to Korea.
That's
Before
before.
Korea.
That's 1950.
Oh, no.
That's right. After the war, I did work in the shipyard. I worked for Dravo.
How old were you during the war? You were right
I
at
was,
the right age.
I was, I
You were a little
missed,
bit too old. You
I
were
was
too old,
1
right?
year older, I was a 4F, and the D-Day, I got a notification from Uncle Sam, I'm 1A.
Yeah, on D-Day.
Yeah, I'm D-Day.
And you know what he did?
So
We
you never
ga-
got called?
We gave up what I did, and he
My
went
brother-
to work in
my
the
brother-
shipyards.
We're up in Philly?
I've worked here. I
Oh,
worked-
Dravo.
Dravo. I
They
worked,
built ships.
I worked on the LSTs.
And then
So
he,
you gave up your business during
Well,
the war?
we weren't able to buy businesses
it
at
was
that
after the
time.
war.
It was,
And during the war, he came home one time and he said to me, there's so many Jewish boys and men working here that can't afford to go out and live. And I said, fine. So for 15 of them, they used to come in, I made lunches for all of them. Of course, they paid for the lunches, but I made 15 lunches a day for them. They were kosher, see? And I made 15 lunches a day, and
Sorry.
they came and took their lunches and went to work.
And you took the lunches in for everybody?
she
They
was
stopped at the
there.
house,
stopped
and,
at the house.
and picked it up.
Yeah. And how long did you do that for?
Till after the war,
Just about
just
A
about.
year? A couple years?
about 2 years.
About 2 years.
We
That
had a,
must have been a pretty big expense to be making 15.
well, why,
15
not
meals
at
a
that
day.
time.
Let me tell you
When a
something.
loaf of bread was 15 cents.
And a dozen of eggs was 5 cents a
Oh,
dozen
that
at the
cents a
farmer's
dozen?
market.
We had a
Uh,
big farmer's market here.
Yeah.
Will you make me lunch?
Yeah, uh-huh.
I'd love to have somebody make my lunch.
What else
You
you got
you
there?
know something, when we were children, we used to go down to the farmers and work all day, my two brothers and I, for 50 cents a day. But we were allowed to take home all the vegetables that were left, and they knew we were kosher, so they used to save a live chicken for us. And when we brought it home, my mother would take it to the shed, and then we had chicken. I don't know, I think I had a very lucky life.
Did you have any friends or relatives who fought in the war who didn't come
Well,
back?
Oh, yes,
yeah.
I had Joseph Cohen, I had first cousin that was killed
Yeah,
Where was he killed?
in the World War
You
I.
don't know
World
what?
War
you
II.
remember
World
what
War
country?
II.
I
World War
lost
II.
somebody in World War I. That's way, an uncle.
Yeah.
No, but here, I lost a cousin. He was a Caney. His mother was a Caney originally. And he went over there and they never found him. He was killed.
Well,
in
did you have any relatives who were in Europe? Like, any of your relatives who
His
hadn't come
parents
over?
were, not
Not
mine.
mine,
His
no.
father
But by
found
the time
out
of the war, everybody was over here.
We were here. We got here in 1912, 1913. But that's New York. Right?
I don't know. I was a happy kid, I guess. I loved everybody. I hated nobody. I talked about nobody. I only wish people what they wish me.
Did you, after the war, were there people who had escaped from Europe who came into the Jewish community here?
Oh,
who you had
lots
contact
of
with?
them.
Not so much here.
Beer and bombs and,
Yeah,
and-
well,
and
we had a lot of Germans.
a lot of Germans. that
We
came.
associated with them. We played cards with them.
They were very nice.
Very
They
nice.
didn't know English at first, did they?
No,
No.
Here they were
We're
coming
having
to a
a-
new country.
we're having
They
the same
learned
problem
fast.
now.
We had a
Russian
bakery shop. We had 3 bakeries.
I have.
Wasn't it 3 bakeries, honey?
Yeah, 3
Glick,
bakeries. Blattman
Blattman,
and Cohen.
Cohen.
Jewish.
Mrs. Glick.
This was Jewish bakery.
Mrs. Glick used to not finance, but
But
say
to
that
sign
she's
the
given them
papers
a
for it.
job and they should come to this country. And she brought over a load of people, Mrs. Glick did.
Where were your families from originally? I mean, you were from Wilmington, but before that?
My mother was from Lodz,
No,
Riga, from Russia. My
Russia.
parents were Russian. His
Both
parents-
mother and father?
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you?
He was
Mine
from
were
Poland.
Polish.
Yeah.
I'm a Pole.
You're a what?
And now I can join the American Polish Society. All mine.
Yeah, my grandmother was from Poland, too.
Well, we came from a big city, LODZ, Lodz. It was the biggest weaving town there was. Material. England bought.
But you were born here in the States, right? No, you weren't?
She was.
You were born in Poland?
I was born in Poland. I came here when I was 3.5 years old.
Okay. And to New York,
Yeah.
like so
It
many
was
others.
Ellis Island.
Right. But you're a first generation, so you were born here. In the I guess in the late 30s and all. I know I've talked to my parents about this, and there's been so much about how come the American Jews didn't know what was going on in Europe. How come they didn't know about the Holocaust? When did you first find out about the
Well,
Holocaust?
we found out about the Holocaust. I did, not her so much. My father, rest in peace, it was a family of 9.
You were.
No, my father
Your
was.
father.
And he found 2.
And we found 2 nephews in the displacement camp. That's how we learned about the Warsaw Ghetto and the Holocaust. We were ignorant of the Holocaust here, see,
Until when?
until the latter part of the war, when we heard of
44 or so?
yeah, 44.
My sister had 7 children, and one of her sons was in
Auschwitz. He did
when
liberated.
the Jews were being
Liberated.
and he says they were dragging out poor Jewish people from cellars.
He's
It was
still living,
something
the
that
young
you should-
man.
that you can't believe, but they're all right.
They
there.
advertise on your station, Red Star wallpaper.
That's my relatives.
But I always found it, and I think so many of us of my generation find it so amazing that the people of your generation didn't
well,
know.
FDR kept us ignorant of
Right,
it.
right.
See, my father didn't get any mail from none of it. But after the war, when we found out about the 6 million Jews, then we started, my oldest brother, he's gone, rest in peace, he started to investigate to try to locate, and we located 2 nephews of my father's from 9 children, and we brought them over here.
They're
We
wonderful.
signed
Where are
them.
they now?
it
In
was-
Delaware?
no, we brought them to
One
New
is,
York.
their son is.
See, this is before I met her.
He brought over these 2, well, my father-in-law brought them over, but one of them found a girl also there, and they got married, and she got pregnant in the meantime, so they wouldn't let her come because that's another body that's going to be born. So one of the nephews came over, Philip did, and Jerry had to wait till the baby was born, and then his father sent another ticket for Jerry, and he came over.
Well, this is background.
Barbara was about 6 months old when she came over here, and they were afraid to sit at the table and eat a piece of white bread because they used to make the Jews eat cotton and choke them to death, and they were afraid to eat
They
white.
used to throw a potato peel along the line, and if they went to dive to eat it, they used to kill them. These nephews of ours, they, you
Not
know,
my family. I had no one left over there.
No, yeah, all your family.
My mother sent tickets to bring him over, and her only brother, and he decided he had 3 daughters, so they sold the tickets and bought husbands for their daughters. And they went the way of all flesh. All got executed.
we got a deep background. Well, I run this synagogue here. I'm the president of the synagogue that operates it.
Well, I want to talk about the Holocaust and about that
Oh,
time,
that's good.
that time in the 40s. So before this, until later on when you found out that FDR had held so much back, did you like FDR?
No.
You never
We,
liked him?
After that.
my
But
father
before that-
condemned him.
Before that,
For that,
yes.
Didn't you
he
think he
liberated
was
us from the,
Yes, but
see
after
why?
that-
1932,
but after
when they
that, I hated
repealed
him.
the
Because he didn't believe that they were
prohibition.
killing our people over there.
He knew they knew what was
Huh?
going
He
on.
knew.
He knew
But
what
he
was
didn't
going
want to do anything about
They
it.
couldn't do nothing about it.
much as I
His
did.
hands were tied due to the fact that we were supporting all those other countries during the war. I can see Russia and the United States, if not them, there would be no England today, and no France.
And we had the Topkases, God bless them. They were wonderful. Anybody that wanted to bring their family over, they helped. They were wonderful people.
That was a
Louis
great family.
Topkas. Any Jew that came to him and said that he wanted to bring his wife and son, he helped them come over to this country. When my mother was coming over,
You're
one of my
learning
brothers
something.
one of my brothers got sick and my mother was stuck in Germany. Then she couldn't get through, and Topkas got my mother in. He was wonderful to all.
Did they have a
the
lot
Jew-
of money,
Who?
the Topkas family?
Oh, the
Yeah,
richest people in
the
town.
richest Jews.
Yeah.
They made underwear. They had one of the biggest factories here, employed all Jewish.
They were
help.
wonderful people, very giving. They were the founders of the old.
It's the only pictures
What
I
was the
don't
name
have
of their
up here.
company?
Huh? The Topkas brothers.
Topkas
Brothers.
underwear?
The Topkas brothers. They
Yeah.
were very.
There were 3
wonderful
brothers.
They
and-
manufacture?
Yes.
Yeah, manufactured underwear and pajamas and
They were
all that.
but yeah, we Jewish people were very.
What else do you got?
Did the do you think the Jewish community changed as a result of World War II?
Yes.
Yes, a lot.
In what way?
There was a
First
lot
of
of
all,
intermarriages. A lot of them.
What were you going to say? Are you going to say the same thing? Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that. We have our own grandchildren, but they're living their lives. We've lived our lives, so we
Either
don't.
join them or lose them.
We join them
and
or
I'm
lose
not
them.
losing mine.
I have a grandson that's
Your
with
grandchildren have married all of your grandchildren?
all,
All but one. He's not married.
he's a hunk and don't want to get married.
He's one of a twin. We have twin grandsons, 34.
Our oldest grandson is going to be 39. He's directing now. And
Directing. He's very-
he started as a
And all my
cameraman.
grandchildren
He
work.
did the Olympics and all for ABC.
What do you think is the connection between the end of the war and intermarriage? I mean, how did that come to be?
Well, I can give you one simple answer. When a Jewish boy went to college, and a nice girl saw him, she says, "I've said Jewish boys here. I know my security is guaranteed."
Why is that? Why did they
That's
think
how
that?
they feel.
That's how they feel.
Well, what was it about Jewish boys that made
They're
Well-
them?
they're good husbands.
That's what I hear. I don't know.
Aren't you married?
No.
We can't tell you what to do, but we never interfered with our
When I'm
grandchildren.
through being interviewed, I'll tell you what I did when I was the only Jewish child. I wouldn't dare tell them this.
Okay. We'll talk about it off camera.
Yeah, okay.
Off camera.
Do you think there was any change in the attitude of the non-Jewish community toward Jews as a result of the Holocaust, one way or another?
They did, you know, I'll tell you another story. We played with some of the German people cards, and their children didn't believe that these things happened. Erica's daughter used to say, Mother, don't make up those stories. You know they're not true.
That's a German family.
Their children didn't believe that this
See,
happened.
well, you can see that today. They want to teach it in schools, and schools are fighting it.
Not all schools. There's just
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, you're always going to get somebody.
My mother used to say in Jewish, "Je schwer zu sein a Yid."
You know what that means?
Yeah.
It's hard to be a Jew.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to be a Jew.
It's a non-Jewish world.
Schwer, it means heavy.
Was there an economic impact that the war had on the Jewish community?
Yeah, all the Jewish people, we all stuck together. We became successful. We weren't dependent on any charities whatsoever. They became
Jews aren't
independent.
beggars.
And do you think the community became closer after the war as a result?
Well, we spread out. It's entirely a
say.
different life.
It's a different
40
world.
years ago, you wouldn't believe, if you were sitting interviewing me 40 years ago, you wouldn't believe how big and strong the Jewish community was. Today, it's all spread out. You take
There's
some,
more people, and I mean, the numbers are bigger.
yeah, but
Do you think
yeah,
it's not as strong?
there was no synagogue in Dover. There was no synagogue in Newark. The campus at Delaware, when I remember, when
Didn't have a Hillel.
I traveled the state here.
He's one of the founders of the Hillel down there.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Well, do you think things were better then or now?
Oh, now they're much better.
Much better.
There's
Yeah?
more support, financial support. And we was this large. We gave towards the building fund $25,000.
Tell me about the Hillel, how you came to
Well,
found that.
well, I didn't found him. Hillel
Through the
was
B'nai
found,
B'rith.
but University of Delaware didn't have a Hillel until the B'nai B'rith women and B'nai B'rith men started to form. And if we used to have 20 Jewish students attend a meeting or a breakfast there, we thought we reached utopia. Today there's 1,600 Jewish students in Delaware. So they have their own building now, which we helped. And the woman that deserved a lot of credit is gone.
And my husband
Julia
also,
Blumberg.
for the holidays.
She was wonderful. She supported Hillel all her life. Julia Blumberg.
Oh, yes.
Did you say that you were connected with one of the synagogues here, the founding one of the
This
synagogues?
one, no, I'm not a founder.
No.
I operate it.
You know what he does?
I've
He puts an ad in the paper on holidays telling people, if you don't have a ticket and you are Jewish and you want to pray, you
This
come.
is you
Nobody
come.
has
I'm
ever
affiliated.
asked for a ticket.
I
At
have
the B'nai B'rith house?
right here. We put up about
Put in
200
the
chairs
Jewish
there.
voice, we put that in there.
Did you ever want to live anywhere else?
No.
No, I turned Florida down.
Yeah?
I'm
I
sure.
turned Florida down too.
You'd rather stay here with your friends and...
Yes,
I
my
love it.
brother's in Florida 15 years now.
loves it.
I turned down. I have a niece that's married to the Bacardi rum heir, and they have townhouses
cars,
there.
everything for
I
us
wouldn't
there.
go. I hate it.
I hate it. I love it here.
You want a description of Florida? Would it be all right?
Sure.
Or in the morning, if we're there, Gene would say, Jack, what do you want for breakfast? I don't know. What do you want? We'll have Danish and coffee. So she'd go poolside, and I go down and try to have a card game with some people where we stayed. At 11:30, she said, what do you want for lunch? So I said, what do you want? I had sandwich. And then about 3:30, 4 o'clock, she'd come and say, what early bird are we going
wanna
to
go eat?
tonight? That's Florida.
So what you're trying to get
We're
across
not
here is
food-
that there's nothing to do.
That's, if you got to occupy your
And he's
time.
very active in Jewish B'nai B'rith and things. And I'm
Do you go to the
very,
JCC?
no.
Well, that's a long
I'll tell you
story.
after this why.
After you shut that off, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you why.
Have you ever been to Israel?
That's why my children.
No.
You've never been to Israel?
That's why the
Want to
kid.
go?
No, I don't want to go. I don't want to go any place in Europe.
Why not?
I just love it here, that's all.
I mean, to visit?
Who am I going to visit?
Well, you don't visit people, but you know.
And
I
they
couldn't-
always say it's a
I've-
lot of
I-
walking, and he isn't a
I
walker.
don't walk. I developed
Bad hip.
degenerative hip, and I wouldn't go for surgery.
Did you ever get politically involved?
Yes, I used to
Should I
be
tell you?
very political, years and years
Can I
and
put
years.
my hand on it? I'll tell you about politics.
No, but,
Were you a member of one party or another? Did you vote for the person? You know?
Here's our first Jewish representative in Dover. The second picture from the end.
All right, I can
Joe
look. I
Green.
don't think the camera can see that, though.
Joe
Okay.
Green. Joe Green.
who?
Joe Green.
Joe Green?
Oh, that's
He
right.
was the
That's
first Jewish state representative. And here's Hy Young, our first Jewish Attorney General
right
of
up
the state
there.
of Delaware.
High Coun-
He was a member of the neighborhood. These are all members.
Do you think Wilmington and Delaware has been a good place for Jews? The
Yes.
Jews have been for you around
Generally,
here?
yes. Yes. Even the suburbia today is good for Jews. A lot of them. But, you know, the wars made
There's
them.
no problems anymore. I don't have any problems.
I did,
You know what I'll tell you afterwards.
Oh, so many things you're going to tell me after.
Yeah, all right.
Sure, see, I wouldn't want it to come in.
I wouldn't want them to say I wasn't a lady. I have a hunk of a twin grandson that isn't married, boy, and he don't want to get married.
And lives here in Wilmington?
He has a deli and a catering store in Havertown, Pennsylvania.
The twins are in business together.
Well, one is married, the other one, but he's
That's
just
how, well, he's got our
wanna
oldest
get
great-grandchild. She just became 13.
Oh, really?
one of them. The other one don't want to get married. I don't know why.
What a
He says he's half a father and a whole uncle, and that's enough.
If somebody were asking you what your favorite memories were of growing up and of raising your family here in this area, what would you think of?
I had no fear of raising them. They went to school, they were happy, they all had their Jewish friends, and I always knew where they were. They belonged to Jewish fraternities, they were very Jewish.
And that's important.
That's my son.
Sure,
We're
that's
talking-
important.
We only had one that grew up. He was all right. He married a Jewish girl.
And that was important?
Yes.
Sure is important. He
I
belonged,
used to
he
bring
belonged
his
to SAR.
fraternity brothers up to the house when people were smoking and things like that, and I used to have a Frigidaire full of soda and a pack of cigarettes on the table. They never touched them, but they drank the soda. Just because they could have it, they didn't want it. And the AZA, my son was with the AZA and all the fraternities.
There's a product of our family, right there. Mike.
His grandfather was my brother. My maiden name was Ploener.
Oh, really? Okay. So after you lived in the city, did you ever move out to the suburbs? Did you ever get out to the Brandywine 100 area?
No.
We
always
owned, yeah,
lived in the
we owned a home off of Bennett Boulevard,
We owned a home.
where Judge Herman lived at the corner house.
Judge Herman, the
Yeah.
one who the courthouse is named after?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that Judge Herman?
yeah, he's
We
right
had
up here. The
Daniel?
picture
When
right
we
up here.
moved in, they were all Jewish people on both sides except one mixed family. And when we went to move here, there was only
I had a
one
lot
Jew-
to do
one
with
Jew-
this
One
building.
Jewish family left, wasn't there? One Jewish family left. We were the only one left there.
I had a lot to do with this part of, I didn't build it,
With
but
what?
I was one of the 5 original committeemen that started the ball rolling.
On the B'nai B'rith house?
The
Sure,
B'nai
his
B'rith
name's
House.
up front.
So you were part of helping this come to be?
Yes, that's right.
There's Sammy Hoffman, he's dead.
He's gone. He's a furrier. And him and I and Mike Meyer-Siegel was gone. And
See, all those were promising to do. The Kyles, the Rafelsons,
they're all
the
the
Cohens.
top row here is all
How are all
millionaire
these
row.
people whose pictures are up here?
These are all past presidents here, from the second row down.
Brits.
The B'nai
Of
B'rith
B'nai
home.
B'rith Lodge. Lodge.
And when was the home built?
The build was 1979, this building,
And how many years did it take to raise the funds to
from
build it?
71.
So it took you 8 years to raise the money.
They canceled out on us one time, you know, and Nixon recalled, that was, I think, before your time. But I don't think you're that old, that you, it's 24
right, I
years
could've
ago.
told
You
him,
know, I
yeah.
mean, not that I'm not trying to be facetious about it, but 24 years ago, you wouldn't
There's
have any
Judge
idea what
Herman.
was going.
There's Judge Herman up there in the corner,
Right.
on this
And all
corner.
these people have been friends and presidents of the B'nai
A
B'rith.
lot, yeah. I mean, the only one that hasn't been is Rabbi Tavel. He was the first rabbi
What
in
did you
Beth
have in
Emily.
mind when you wanted to build the B'nai B'rith home?
This house?
Yeah,
the-
what was the concept?
the senior citizens, senior housing.
We were getting older, and we felt that everybody should be comfortable as a senior.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started to build this place, well, a lot of our own kind didn't want to come in. They thought, you know,
Why not?
they thought everybody was under the impression it's going to be an old age home.
Uh-huh.
They didn't realize how beautiful it is. You should see our apartments. We have one bedroom. We have
We're the only senior housing building in the country
With
that
one
has
bedroom.
no efficiencies.
They're all one bedrooms, or are there any two bedrooms?
No,
Yeah.
no.
They're all one
It was,
bedroom?
Virginia?
it was
No,
for seniors, see, you had to be a certain age,
65 to get in.
62 to get in originally.
now 65. isn't
No,
it?
less
So
now, that's
60.
60. And for seniors, they don't need three rooms. It's a two-room bedroom and a living room.
And we have wonderful maintenance help here. We have
It's wonderful.
we
here.
have a beauty parlor here. We have a little grocery store here. We have a playroom where we show
We
movies.
got an
for the people
auditorium that they
every day.
use.
You pay rent, you don't own your apartment,
No,
do you?
no, nobody owns anything.
Nobody owns their
We
apartment.
pay
You
to
pay your
Delaware,
rent.
the state housing takes care of it.
We pay our
That's the
rent.
truth, HUD.
And now everybody wants to get in.
It's hard to get in now?
Oh, sure. They
Now they
changed
have
a
a
lot of
different
rules.
system. The Russians are first, the handicapped and homeless are second.
Handicapped and homeless and so on and so forth. It goes right down the line.
Do you have a board of directors or that runs the board?
Yeah, well, I'm on the board. I'm the only lifetime member of the board. They gave me honor.
And don't you leave me either. I have nobody to argue with.
I'm a lifetime member of the board, the senior housing. I'm past president on April 4 times, served 4 times.
So did you find that other communities wanted to copy the concept?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Yes.
We have them visit here. We have the administrative board of the district meet here at least once a
You know
year.
my sister had a friend that lived in Queens in one of these houses. It is a dive.
Really?
Which one's
How about
Michael's
this
wife?
interview? Michael's wife? Where's you?
Are you
There she is.
Michael's- Oh, you're Michael's wife. I had to see who my great niece was.
How's that interview?
No, I think we're doing okay. I mean, is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
Well, all I want
can't
to talk
think of
about,
everything.
let me talk about, now I'm going to come to the Russians, which is one of the greatest things, because I have 2 Russians here. When I see him, I see my father when he came over to this country. They get a lot of help. More help. My father got $1 when he landed in Ellis Island from the Hebrew Aid Society. He got $1. My father worked for $3 a week and kept the family of 5. And then when he made $6, we moved from the Lower East Side to Harlem. And Harlem was a big, very big Jewish community. When we moved to Harlem in 1918, just right after the war. And this is an oddity, I'm going to tell you. I never saw my father under the weather, drunk or not, or my grandfather. But the Armistice Day of 1918, they walked around with gallon jugs of wine in the streets
That was
singing
in
the
New York.
Hatikva in New York. It still lays in my memory. And this is what I remember. And that's
How do you think growing up Jewish in Delaware compares to growing up Jewish in New York?
a lot of difference.
A lot of different.
A lot of difference.
In what way?
And because in
There's a lot of Jews and a lot of
I've-
shuls and a lot of what have you.
I've-
Here,
So it's hard. Is it harder here, or is it better
Yeah,
here because there
well,
are
I
fewer
went to a
Jews?
parochial
No,
school.
it's
I left 8 o'clock in the morning to get home till 6:30 every day. But I was taught
I
6
don't know,
hours,
It wasn't hard growing up.
6
to be
hours
like
of Judaism, which means I studied Talmud
Yeah, they're
already. I
finishing
came,
off.
yeah, he's done.
Are you
She's
done?
very interested in hearing what we got to say.
So, she's done.
She's done.
Are
We're
we?
done.
Would you like us to be done, or?
Yeah.
You can keep going. I got a 2-hour tape here, and this is my great aunt. As you probably
Yes,
know.
I understand. This
Yeah,
is your
that's
great
not
aunt.
my great niece. You
So
better look at
Well,
me
the people
because
are
I'm...
watching the videotape. Why don't you come over and get
I
the
have-
shots of
I have-
people and
I-
the
Yeah,
company?
come on.
I have something very proud to be of. Like I brought the book down. My mother's
black sheep of the
family
family. You
is in
better
a
stand
library
near me. You
college.
won't see me
I'll
Why are
show
you
anymore.
the black sheep of the family? They won't tell me why.
Why?
I-
Because
Come here, grandniece.
Now, maybe we don't want to get this on.
no, I
No,
hate nobody.
why?
Why?
We have not
It's a
died.
long story with a short tail, and
Okay.
the tail got cut off. Yeah, sure. My
I'm the
beautiful
grandniece
great-niece and
by
my
marriage.
great-nephew.
It's hard to go into details. It's just one of those things that happen in life. The dollar bill got in the middle.
Yes. Well, we
So
have.
one made it and one didn't make it.
That's what started.
That's right.
That's
They
right.
most of the time
Two
the men never
sister-in-laws didn't like each other, and that was the end of it.
That's
Are we
all.
sure we want to record this?
Yeah, we don't.
No,
I
don't
don't
record
record
that.
that.
Don't you dare. Are you recording that?
You re-edit this, would you?
Jack,
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something else.
All right. What would you like to know about your
About my
grandfather?
grandfather.
Grandfather
one of
was
the best.
one of the nicest guys in the world.
That's right.
I
Okay,
remember
his
my-
grandfather is your
My brother-in-law.
your brother-in-law.
My brother.
Her brother.
You're related through you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He was a plumber. Originally, his mother was a
And
plumber.
what did his grandfather do for a living?
His grandfather was in the junk business all his life.
Automobile business.
The automobile
He was a
part.
fisherman. He went fishing. He really lived. His grandfather was a good guy. He really lived.
I remember him as a very jolly,
yes, went
A
friendly.
fishing.
regular guy.
Went fishing, and he lived life the way he wanted it.
When you said the junk business, what does that mean?
Automobile business.
Automobile scrap.
Automobile
Salvage
scrap. What do you
Salvage,
call that?
yeah.
Salvage cars.
Yeah, like they would take cars
Cars.
and put them in a salvage yard,
Yeah.
but then if people wanted parts for their
That's right.
old
And then-
cars, they
and
would buy
then
the
they
parts.
used to squeeze them together and send them to factories.
Right.
His uncle, Lenny Ploener, was with his father for many years. Business.
So did you get together a lot? Did you socialize a
Well,
lot?
now,
let's
here
not
comes
get
the
on that
answer.
subject.
She was invited to every side of the family.
I was
Her
mad
and
at no one. I said if they were stupid enough to be mad, I don't want to be mad. I want friends.
Let me tell you, we have on the short side of the family, I have an uncle, and we're not talking to that side of the family.
we
It
know.
happens in every family sooner or later.
But she was invited on every side of the
side.
Now,
family.
your family stayed in New York,
And my
right?
family remained. No, I brought my brother here.
My advice
What
is
about
My
your
brother,
parents?
my
never get
parents
into
are
family
gone.
I went to
They
your
stayed in
mother's
New York.
wedding. I
Yeah.
went to your
Okay, we
sister's
can't all
My-
talk at once.
My father was
Oh, well, that's right.
very,
We
very.
can't all talk at once. We're
My
on one
father
mic
was
here.
very. My father was very orthodox. I
Your
came.
father was very orthodox?
Yeah, I came from a very orthodox family. I told you I went to parochial school like a Catholic boy. I went to parochial school where they taught me Judaism for 6 hours and English for 3 hours.
I want to send a gift nobody would ever do. That was my mother's name.
That's why I can run a
And I
seminary.
asked everybody in the family for
I
it.
can read the Torah. I can read a lot of
Your
things.
address?
Sure.
Give it to me, her name and address.
Okay.